I'm Helen Van Wyk, and welcome to my studio again. Today I'm going to show you how to paint a self-portrait, a time of study, a really easy portrait to do. You have the most cooperative model in the world, takes coffee breaks when you do, and keeps her mind on what you're doing, isn't distracting you with thoughts of how you're going to make her look. Notice the portrait that I did of myself a number of years ago. This one is one I did of, I put myself in shadow. And today, I'm going to make myself look even younger. Let me start. I have set up a mirror. Of course, that's the way self-portraits are done. And I see my reflection, and I'll pose well. Every time I look at myself to see a point of reference, I'll see the position, and then I'll paint. Look and paint. It's not this. I'll see the position, and then I'll paint. Look and paint. It's not this, because that makes a funny looking self-portrait. Now, again, as in all paintings, you have the problem of placement and getting the right proportion of the subject. So I would like to place the head high right here because I am tall, and I have an easy way of getting the size. All I have to do is measure myself. And then I could also measure the across, how wide I am, but I think I'll take a chance and sketch it in without that. Now I would like to see where the features line up, where the jawline is, where this jawline is, where the neck is, and I can put my brush along my shoulder line, and my brush handle is now following my shoulder line, and I can just move my brush. It intersects my mouth. My mouth is going to be there, and I can make my stroke follow my brush handle. Now I'm going to put my brush along this shoulder line, and it intersects my chin here, and make that. And I can put my brush along my shoulder line, and my brush handle is now following my shoulder line, and I can just move my brush. It intersects my mouth. My mouth is going to be there, and I can make my stroke follow my brush handle. Now I'm going to put my brush along this shoulder line, and it intersects my chin here, and make that. I do this even when I have someone else posing. It's just that I have to put my hand out to the model instead of to myself. It's an easy way to record what is in front of you, and it looks so arty. Rembrandt did 70 self-portraits that we know of. That's what made him such a good portrait painter. He studied so much. And studied, when you're doing a self-portrait, as I said, you don't have any pressure coming from the model. One of the pressures that comes from the model all the time is that the model wonders whether he's going to like it, and then wonders whether it's going to be worth all the money he's going to have to pay for it. And that concern seeps into your thinking. So that gives a general overall silhouette. Let me walk into, with my paint, into this silhouette, some of the proportions, where my hair is, where my glasses reach my eyebrows, the eye line, the nose, and the mouth. Don't draw eyes, nose, and mouth. Locate them in the face, on the face. And the cheekbones. I'm seeing myself not full face, slightly at a perspective. And so everything on this side is going to be a little smaller than this side, and I'm seeing a side plane of my face. I call this stage of painting a portrait putting up the scaffolding that I can walk on with light and dark. Let me get a bigger brush. I use big brushes to show you how to do these things because a big brush does it very boldly. And it is true that you should start boldly with a big brush because it makes you look for the bigger shapes. Because after all the little shapes are part of the big shapes. Get the big shapes in first, and the little shapes within them will come easily. Ho, ho, ho. Now, my lesson today is not only on how you can arrange yourself to do a self-portrait, it's going to be on how to paint eyes. But of course, I have to find out the basic structure of my eyes, how they are placed within this whole face. And eyes are basically, if we go to the skull, they're holes, they're sockets. And so eyes are started with the shape of the socket, eye socket. I don't know whether I'll be able to paint my mouth for you. I can't seem to stop talking. And my lighting today is coming from the left. You have to arrange your lighting a little differently in your studio. Instead of lighting your subject, you have to light yourself so that you can see the lighting on you. And so all the shadows on my face are off here to the right. I have found that when people see me do a portrait demonstration, they're looking for a likeness right away. No, we have to sneak up on a likeness. Sneak up on the finished look. The finished look is the likeness, so save the expression and likeness for later and realize that the foundation of a good likeness is basic structure of not the eyes, nose, and mouth, the forehead, cheeks, and chin. So I'm putting in a tone for the forehead, a tone for the nose, the cheek section, the mouth area, the lower lip. Sargent said, a portrait is a picture of a person and there's something wrong with the mouth, so I kind of leave it for later. And the hair color. Yes, all hair is in the yellow family. Mine happens to be light. But this light hair has to be dark on the side that is, the light can't strike it. Now, you always really, in painting a portrait, have to put the background in the color you see the subject against. And because I have the light on me, I see darkness behind me. I'd like to tell you about a wonderful mixture I use a lot in doing a quick portrait sketch. Indian red and black. Why? Indian red is so opaque. It has a fantastic covering power. And Indian red warms the black. Even starting to use the background to get a feeling of that wonderful quality of the periphery called the lost line, to help it look as though this hair, there's more back here than just the edge I see. I do believe that so many people's artistic ability never crawls out because it has to bump so much fear. You're afraid. I really have never figured out what a person's afraid of. They say, oh, I'm afraid to do that. So what are you afraid of? Afraid I won't get it right. Well, what's right? It hasn't been done yet. It's an experiment. You're kind of finding out how it's going to look. You address your efforts to your own curiosity. And no one's watching you. Oh. And so that is an example or a demonstration of the beginning, how to situate your mirror and how to approach the basic shapes. I could have, if I were taking more time, I'd actually put my hand here and my thumb here to see if I got that right. And then from the forehead to the end of the nose, and got that right. Aha. And from the nose to the chin, and got that right. And the width, I should have gotten that wider. But that's how I could correct it all. So that's how I begin it, and why don't I step back and advance it further for you. Yes, I've worked hard. I've spent a couple of hours to juggle those basic values you watch me do, the hair shape, the shadow shape, and the body tone shape. I even redid the background to make it look better. And I've advanced the portrait now to what I call the second sitting. I always have a sitting with the model, then I work without the model, and then I go back and refer to the model again in a second sitting. This is when I'm going to be zeroing in on the eyes, primarily, of course, and the nose and the mouth, just advancing it to the more finished look. In order to do this, I've cleaned my palette, and I've fortified myself with new brushes. So let me show you how I start the eyes, or how to do eyes. First thing, in those sockets, I have to place the eyeball itself. And I use a little darker tone, a grayish, a warm gray, blue, umber, and alizarin maybe. I'm going to try it out though to see how it looks. All right. here goes. What I do to that eye, I'll do to this eye. Again. After all, I have to make them a matching pair in perspective. And then with some courage, I'm going to place the irises and attach that to the shadow of the eyelid. So that they both look at me. Just so those dark spots are looking right at me. And that's going to help me now to actually paint the eye. That's just is a guide. Now, of course, I always have to look through my glasses to do my eyes. And if someone's posing for me with glasses, I have the person wear glasses to make him feel comfortable. But there comes a time I have to have the person take the glasses off, because I really have such a complicated structure to do. An eyebrow, this part, the lid, the shadow from the lid, the eye, the iris, the white of the eye, the lower lid that holds the eye in, and then the shadow from the lower lid, and then the first bag, and the second bag, and so on. So let me show you. Observing these shapes from the top down gives me a chance to watch this beautiful end of the brush. Again, so I think I might have shown you this technique before. That's working your people over from the top down, and I see now light hitting here. Do I see any light on the other eye in the same, at the same structure? A little bit. Do I see any light on the upper lid? If I raise my eye enough, I do. It's getting there. Just a little bit. See how nice it is to have a dark mass to work on? And now, where the light is striking the white of the eye, only on the side where the light's coming from. What you do to one eye, do to the other. Always do them together. You make one and finish it, you're liable to make it so wonderful the other eye will end always wanting to look at it. Now, that lighter tone that is on the thickness of the lower lid determines greatly the expression. Move it way up, get that mean squinty look, which often happens when I paint a self-portrait, because I do squint a lot as I paint, because squinting helps me see the lights and darks. So many of my friends say, they say, I don't like your self-portraits because they don't smile. I said, well, I don't smile at myself when I paint. I smile at you socially, but when I'm alone, I'm kind of nasty. Very dedicated to trying to get this to look as best I can, which takes a lot of concentration. And so you can see that I've advanced those eye sockets to now have eyes in them. And they look too dark. They look as though it's the only thing you're looking at. How can I spread your interest throughout the face? Yes, by using that same tone wherever I see it again. I see it in here, and I see it in here, and I see that same tone in the upper lip. Actually, wherever I see an underplane. And the next thing, with a nice sable brush, to try to caress the flesh tone with a bloom, those lighter tones that seem to add so much life. Yes, that's what I always save for later. Lighter flesh tones. And they are going to accentuate the eye, because I see it fall into the pit of the eye here. Accentuate, oh, that brush is, and take this nice new one here. It comes up into there. And the eye is so much painted by this shape, the shape of how the light hits the slope from the nose to the cheek. Drawing is a matter of shapes, of brush strokes. You can see I have advanced the portrait more off camera because, well, it does take a long time to do a portrait, but because I want to show you how to do the eyes. Before, I just placed the eyes with a dark tone. Now I'm going to add the actual color that my eyes are, gray-blue. That one's darker because it's in on the shadow side of the face. And then the highlight. Well, before the highlight I have to put the pupil in because the highlight very often hits right on the pupil. The lid. The shadow of the lid again. And now the highlight. My mother always said, Helen, I wish you'd put the highlight in the eye sooner because it gives so much life to the picture. I always think of my dear mom when I put the highlight in. But my goodness, I have so much work to do to find out where this little spot's going to land. And in order to put it in, pick up the paint with a nice brush, pick up, scoop it so you can pop it on. And then the light causes that highlight, goes into the eye and bounces out across from it, right there. And so, I hope this has helped you a little bit in painting eyes. The next time we meet, I'm going to help you paint the color white, or I may teach you how to make soup. Hello, I'm Helen Van Wyk, and welcome to my studio.